Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dear Dream Diary with your host, Ashley. This is episode 9, and the title of today's episode is Obstacle Survival Course. This is a pretty long dream. There's lots of details. I haven't pulled a dream card or an oracle card yet for this dream. I've been pretty busy the last 2 weeks, and I know I missed an episode. I'm going to try and release another episode shortly after this, just to kind of keep on track and make sure that I'm at least getting one episode per week. And then if I do fall behind, I'll try to post an episode back to back just to keep you guys all listening and up to date. And I don't want to leave you guys hanging because I've had so much happen the last 2 weeks. I feel like there's reasons why I don't post episodes every week because something usually interesting happens and then I'm able to add that to the next episode. But I've been busy. I'm on strike with my one job. This is my second strike of the year. I don't know how many people can say that they've been on strike twice in 1 year. It's also within 6 months, actually. I was just on strike with my other job in the summertime. It's not a fun process. I do enjoy getting to know my coworkers and my colleagues. This kind of stuff does bring us closer together. It is just unfortunate that it had to come to this process. Like, I hope that the two parties can come to a mutually beneficial agreement. And also, we do provide a public service. So I hope that we're able to get back out there and give that back to the public, because there is some people and businesses that are waiting and have things that haven't been able to get to them because of this. So I really hope that the parties do come to a mutually beneficial agreement and we're back out there sooner rather than later. But that's enough about that. I wanted to, before we get into the dream, I've had some interesting things happen the last couple weeks since my last episode. Again, you guys all know that I'm on this spiritual journey, and my daughter asked me last night how long I've been on this journey. Like, when did I start this journey? And it took me a second, but it's been about 2 years. Like, the first initial, I'm going to find myself or get to know me better. It's been about 2 years. And I've learned a lot in the last 2 years. Finding my inner self or my inner voice or getting in touch with my higher consciousness isn't just about being able to tune into this intuition stuff. It's being able to know who I am and what I have to offer, and getting to know my inner self and my subconscious more is really opening my eyes, like, in the waking life, in the conscious waking life. And I wholeheartedly just want to be kind to other people. I've never really been a mean person or anything, but as humans, we see somebody doing something that is out of the ordinary and we instantly judge them. And I find that I have not been doing that. I've also really been focusing on having the mentality that you have no idea what somebody else is going through. So we have no right to judge them for whatever it is that they're doing. And I believe I talked about this on another episode that, one of the books I read, they compare life to climbing stairs, and there is, like, everybody's on a different stair, and just because you're on a stair that's higher than somebody below you doesn't give you the right to think or feel that you are better than them. Not at all. Some people have to, it takes them longer to process and go through the events that's happening where they're at in their life, and it takes them a little bit longer to get to the next stair. And And one of the things I've been doing my own oracle readings and getting back into my tarot cards. I've really felt more drawn to my oracle cards than my tarot cards, but they're both kind of starting to call to me right now. And a lot of the readings and everything that I've been doing, it talks about the staircase again. A lot of these keep referencing back to the staircase analogy, that life is like a staircase, and there is no grand prize at the end. Like you're everybody's in a rush to get to the next stair, and instead of embracing the stair you're on or the journey that you're going through, everyone's always so focused to get to the next stair and to the top of the staircase. Well, there's no prize there. What is there? Nothing. The end of your life, or the end of this life, I should say. There's no prize there. And I fully believe that. Like, yes, sure, obviously everything we've learned, each stair and each process and each journey, we'll be able to take that with us into our next life. But why rush through it? We have come to this life to learn something, to experience something. And if you're rushing to go through it, what are you really even learning? Nothing. To gain education and knowledge takes time and patience, and maybe even making the same mistake once or twice or 10 times or 20 times. Sometimes it takes us that many times to learn that, okay, we didn't do it right the first 20 times. So what is it in this lesson or this process that I need to learn? Well, take the time to figure that out, everybody. There's no reason why we need to be rushing to get to the next stair. And again, going back to, just because you're further along than somebody doesn't mean you have the right, or it doesn't mean that you're better than anybody. It just means that you're one step ahead. And even saying that sounds kind of wrong to me, because I wouldn't say you're ahead or behind. I would say that you're experiencing a different journey in the time of your life than somebody else. So they'll get to the process that they need to be at some point. And the universe, with everything that's happened the last couple of weeks, and I will get to that. I don't want to make this episode too long, but it's been 2 weeks and I have so much information. But with everything that's happened the last 2 weeks, I am 100% certain that we are all connected. The universe does provide when we are ready for either the answer to the lesson that is needed to be learned, or whatever it is. The universe will provide when you are ready to receive what the universe has to offer. I firmly and fully 100% believe that with everything that has happened in the last couple weeks. And I will get to the couple things that have happened. I won't say names or specific details that have happened, just to keep the people private and anonymous. But I'm getting chills as I'm talking this, because I know that the universe has a plan for everybody, not just me, but for everybody. And the universe will give to you when you are ready to receive what the universe has to offer. I'm going to say that one more time. For those who are struggling with whatever you're struggling with, if it's financial, school, health, whatever it is, I'm going to say this to you one more time. The universe will provide when you are ready to receive what the universe has to offer. And I promise you that. I promise you that. I've had such a negative mindset for the majority of, actually, I'm 34. So for 32 years, even at the beginning of this spiritual journey, I still had a negative mindset, like, oh, why me? this always has to happen. Like, oh, come on, really, seriously, this is happening. Like, I've always had that mindset. And my mindset has changed to it's okay. And I'm experiencing this because I need to learn something from what I'm experiencing. And again, the universe will provide when you are ready to receive what the universe has to offer. So I just want you guys to take a moment to think about that. Say it again if you have to, and just know that everything will be okay. Regardless if you don't think it's going to be, it will be. You will get through whatever it is you are going through. And if any of you listening to this right now are struggling with anything in your life, please message me. We can talk about whatever it is you are going through. And if you just need to vent to somebody, pick up the phone, call me, yell at me, vent, go ahead. I'm there to listen. If you want advice, I can give you advice if I'm able to. If I do have advice, I will absolutely provide that. If you just want to talk to somebody because you have nobody, I'm there. Please message me. I have, for most of you listening, you guys know how to message me. For those of you who don't, I am on Instagram, Dear Dream Diary Podcast. I might actually be changing my name a little bit, or a lot of it, but I will give you guys a heads up before I actually do that. But yes, anyway, so continuing on, I do want to discuss or talk about the couple interesting things that the universe has provided for me or given me knowledge of or sent me messages. And I was very, I've talked about this before where I question the messages or the voices or a voice in my head. I'll get random things that pop into my head and I'm constantly questioning myself. Is that something? Is that a message? Is the universe telling me something? Or am I just making all this up? Well, it's really amazing when you're validated. You receive a message and you receive validation. And twice in the last 2 weeks, I was validated very largely by 2 messages that I have received. And the first one, a coworker of mine, her daughter is pregnant. And she was talking about it. This was, I think, about, I'd say 2 weeks ago now. She was talking, we were at work, we were talking together. She was talking about how her daughter is due soon. And I said, oh, when's the due date? And she told me it was about 3 weeks out. She told me the exact due date, but I forget the exact due date. But it was 3 weeks from the conversation we were having. And I've been doing a lot of meditating lately. I'd like to do more, but I've been doing more than what I've usually been doing. And I took a moment while I was standing next to her. I took a deep breath in. I closed my eyes for a second. And this process, I call it tuning in or listening in. And in my head, I had 2 numbers that popped into my head. The first number was 23 and the second number was 26. And I said to my coworker, and as I'm saying these things to my coworker, they're just coming through to my head. Like I'm hearing my inner voice say these things and I'm saying them to her. So I said, talked about the first number, 23. I said, I believe your daughter is going to give birth on the 23rd, but it's going to be later in the evening. So I don't know if that's going to bring it into the next day, which would make the birthday the 24th. I'm not 100% about that part of it, but I am 100% confident that the 23rd is the day she's going to start labor and it's going to be later in the evening. So then we continued to talk and she was like, oh, maybe I should ask everybody. We should start a poll and see what everyone thinks the due date's going to be. And I said, yeah, that'd be cool. So we continue to talk. And the next number, 26, she starts saying that her daughter's in-laws are coming into town on the 26th. And I'm like, oh, that's really interesting that you said the 26th, because that was the second number that popped into my head. So it's really interesting. So fast forward to, this was a week before the 23rd that we had the conversation, maybe a little bit more than a week before the 23rd, November 23rd. So fast forward to the 24th. I worked a night shift and I go in and I noticed that this coworker called in sick. And I'm like, as soon as I seen that she called in sick, I knew. I said her daughter had the baby, but I wasn't sure if it was the 23rd or the 24th. So I asked my other coworkers, I was like, oh, she called in sick? And then they said, yeah, she's a grandma. I was like, no way. When did she have the baby? And they said the 23rd. I'm like, no way. I'm getting chills as I'm saying this. That's one of the things that happens too, is I get chills when there's like, I've been noticing when I get a message that is actually the universe providing me that information, I get chills. So anyways, my other coworkers like, yeah, she's a grandma. The baby was born the 23rd. And I said, no way. Like, that's crazy. What time was the baby born? I'm intrigued at this point. I'm like, universe, are you giving me messages? Yes, universe. Yes, you are giving me messages. So please tell me more. So I asked my coworker, I said, what time was the baby born? And I'm like sitting on the edge of my seat. And I'm just so intrigued. I'm also really happy that my coworker is a grandma now and that her daughter is a mother. I'm also like super happy about that. So anyways, my coworker's like, oh, she had her at 5 p.m. I'm like, no way. I said the 23rd and I said the evening. And that is just crazy. Like, I'm just so happy that, again, that my coworker's a grandma, her daughter's a mom, and that I was just validated with that information that I received. And I'm slowly starting to pick up on how to listen into those messages that are coming through. And it's really, really rewarding for many different reasons. One, because the universe is allowing me to receive these messages. And then two, the universe is validating those messages. And three, I'm getting to know my inner self more. And the more you know your inner self, the more messages and information the universe will provide. And I'm really enjoying that process. So we're going to go to a couple days ago. That's that story. So a couple days ago, again, I'm on strike. So I found a group of people that I really enjoy talking with. And again, that's one of the things that do like that. It does happen during strikes. You get closer with your coworkers. I love that aspect of striking, not so much like everything else, but that is one thing I love about it. And this group of people, we've all got pretty close together, opened up the majority of our lives and just knowing each other. And one of the people that I work with that I got to know, his wife was sick, or she was sick, and they were going to get some results from some testing that she had a week prior to, or 2 weeks prior to the day that we're talking about. So they were going that day to get results from testing that she had 2 weeks ago. So I did that where I closed my eyes, took a breath, my tuning in or listening in, as I call it. And immediately, it wasn't even, it took a second to hear it. I heard remission. And I relayed that message to my coworker. And I then told him the story of my other coworker, how I guessed the date right and everything. And I'm trying to, make him feel better. And because I could sense that he was upset and stressed out and worried and whatnot. So I'm trying to like make him feel better so that he's not so stressed out, and which I can imagine how stressful waiting for information like that. So he went to the appointment, and about, I forget what time it was, but later on that day, I received a message saying, spot on, you were right. And again, I felt, for the first thing I felt was relieved, because I knew that he was relieved and his wife was relieved. And I felt so happy for them. Like, I wish that I could have went and hugged them. And I just, because this journey that I'm on is making me more loving and caring and compassionate. And I wish that everybody could feel what I'm feeling right now. But I wanted to go hug them because I felt so happy for them. And then I was also happy that, again, the universe provided me a beautiful message to give to somebody. And I'm listening to these messages that the universe is providing me. And I hope that I continue to get more messages and spread the messages or share the messages. I want to be able to share more messages like that to people and just be in touch with myself, my inner self, and the universe. I love this feeling. I could talk about it forever and ever, but I'm going to get into the dream again because this dream is pretty long. So I haven't pulled a dream card or an oracle card yet. I don't know if I'm going to because this dream is pretty interesting, but maybe reading it, I might get some sort of message or clarification, but I'm going to start reading the dream. So here we go. Dear Dream Diary. In this dream, I was stuck in some obstacle course and I had to get through to survive it. I could see other people going through the course, falling off obstacles and dying right in front of me. At some point, they let free zombie-like people and they tried to kill you and grab you from the obstacles. I remember feeling how physically challenging the obstacles were and also seeing the end, but not being able to make it there. This dream jumped to a new scene. It felt like This dream jumped to a new scene. It felt like I made it out of the obstacle course. In the new scene, I was in a bank and seeing my brother. This bank wasn't a normal bank. It was an investment bank. I was not a customer at this bank. I think I was there to see my brother. At some point, I realized the bank was part of the obstacle course. My brother wouldn't talk to me, and there were workers there asking me about my interview. I felt very uncomfortable, like the bank was suspicious, so I tried to leave. Once I was in the parking lot, there was thousands of cars, and I couldn't see mine. So I set my alarm off and I realized I was being followed. I started running to my car, and just as I got in, one of the workers from the bank got in the back seat. The worker was trying to sell me investment accounts for my children, but I knew somehow that signing anything with the bank would be bad. I refused to sign the paperwork, so the investment agent put me back into the physical part of the obstacle course. The dream scene started morphing the parking lot into different obstacles, and the zombie people were coming out of different places. I was still in my car on top of this huge wall with the investor agent still in my car yelling at me to sign the paperwork he had. I could see thousands of zombie people coming at the car, and the agent kept yelling to sign the paperwork. I woke up before I made any decision and felt very exhausted, as if I was actually doing the obstacle course. And here. Sorry, I usually pre-read my dreams before, but I had so much information that I just wanted to get out. So this, if I could just sum it up a little bit. Again, in the beginning of the dream, I was in an obstacle course, and a lot of this stuff was like, I remember, again, when I read these dreams, I remember the scenes. So in the beginning of this dream, it was an obstacle course, and there was this huge, huge, huge wall, and it had different type of like rock climbing, rope, like you had to walk across a rope, like tightrope, just a bunch of different obstacle courses alongside this wall. And I remember there was like one ledge you had to like kind of do a running long jump to get to the other side. And I remember seeing people falling and going to the bottom of the pit. And then from there, it turned into like the bank scene. And in the bank, it felt very weird inside the bank. And it was almost as if like if you were to start working for this bank, you would become one of the zombie people. And when I say zombie people, they didn't look like they were missing skin and everything, just like people that were kind of grayish, no personality, not talking to you, and just trying to like attack you. So I felt as though in this bank, if I were to become a customer in this bank, I would become one of the zombie people and then part of the obstacle course. And so then once I realized that this bank was just really, the energy was just not right inside this bank, I left the bank and was trying to get to my car. And as soon as I went in the parking lot, there was thousands and thousands of cars and I couldn't find my car. So again, I set the alarm off to get to my car. I go to my car, and as I'm opening my door and I got in, at the same time, a worker from the bank gets in the back seat of my car. And I remember him sitting in the middle of the seat, and he had his paperwork in front of him, and he's rushing me and trying to convince me to sign this paperwork. And when, again, I realized like, no, this isn't right. I shouldn't. This doesn't seem right. Something's very off about this. I'm not going to do that. He started to be more pushy, and I could see like these zombie people, or I don't even know what a different word would be for them, but I say zombie people. There was hundreds of them starting to kind of make their way towards my car, which ended up, I was on top of this wall, and I could see the parking lot on one side and then just thousands of zombie people on the other side. And they were all coming to the car. And this person trying to get me to sign this paperwork kept pushing and pushing and pushing very urgently that I need to sign this paperwork. I need to do it now. And I didn't. And I remember being like consumed by all these people. And then I woke up out of that, like being consumed by all these zombie people. And when I woke up, I felt very drained. Like my energy was very, very drained. And as I'm saying this, I'm kind of getting a little bit of clarification, and it actually kind of relates to what I was just saying with the staircase. And I feel like this kind of relates to the staircase, like, except for instead of a staircase, like the staircase analogy, it's an obstacle course in my dream. And the more you try to fight to get to the next obstacle, the harder it does become. And instead of focusing on where you're at right now, if you focus more on getting to where you want to be next, the obstacle's more challenging. So if you were to just embrace the obstacle that you're on or the stair, it wouldn't be as difficult. I'm literally just interpreting my dream as I'm saying that. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's making sense to me. I don't know if it's making sense to you guys, but I feel that. Like when I was just reading that last part again, like going over how when I woke up I felt really exhausted, that just kind of came to me. And it makes sense to me. Like if you're so focused on getting to the next place in your life, it's going to be harder because you're missing what you're supposed to be doing in the moment. I don't know how many times the universe is going to provide this message to me. Like, it's crazy. And I'm listening. Every time I realize the universe is sending me a message, I listen. I don't ignore it. I listen to it because I've ignored many, many messages. And when you ignore a message, you're going to have to go through that same process of whatever you went through in order to be told or sent that message again. And if you keep ignoring it, you're going to keep going through the same process, honey. You got to learn how to listen to those messages or those signs and then get past whatever it is you're going through and not ignore the message. Like, learn it, listen to it, learn it, move forward. But take the time. You need to experience what you're going through, learn the process of what you're doing in the moment. And once you're able to embrace it, learn it, and know everything that you possibly need to know on that stair or that obstacle, then the universe will provide the next one for you. It's actually really crazy. I don't even know if I want to pull a dream card for that. I'm going to go through them quickly to see if there's anything that kind of would relate. I don't know. There's like games, flying, falling, maybe games. I don't know. No, not games. I just read the next sentence. Doesn't really relate. I don't think any of these relate, and I don't think I'm gonna pull a dream card because I already interpreted what it means. I might pull an oracle card today. I don't know. I've been really, again, I've already said this once in this episode. I think I did anyways. If I didn't, I probably said it inside my head, and I can't really say things inside my head and expect you guys to hear them. But I've been really drawn to my oracle and tarot cards, more so my oracle cards. And every time I've done a reading, they've been spot on to what I needed to hear in that moment. So I am going to pull an oracle card, actually. Just like I said, I've been really drawn to them. I feel like we should embrace this together. I've been using the two different decks that I have. I have the oracle cards that come with my dream reading cards, which, again, you're supposed to pull a dream card and then kind of interpret? I don't know. I can't even talk right now, guys. I'm so excited. I'm so happy about everything. I'm just enjoying life right now. But you're supposed to interpret, and whatever. It's fine. We're just going to move past that word. You're supposed to figure out what the dream means. How about that? That's better to say. And then after you pull the dream card, you figure out what it means, then you pull an oracle card. But I've been using them just as oracle cards by themselves. And then I also have my other oracle cards that I've been pulling from. I think I'm going to pull from those ones. And all I do when I do pull from my oracle cards is I ask for guidance from spirit to protect my energy during this reading and provide me the answer to the question. And I kind of just feel my cards, I shuffle them. And again, I take a moment, I take a breath, and I say that inside my head internally for spirit to protect my energy during this reading and to provide me the answer to the question. And all I'm going to say is, what is it that we all need to hear today? What is it that me and my listeners need to hear? And then I shuffle and I continue to shuffle until either one kind of pops out at me or I feel like stop, like I kind of hear stop in my head. And sometimes it takes me a minute or so. And again, while I continue to shuffle, I keep asking spirit for guidance, and spirit will guide me. And I feel stop. I'm going to pull this top card here. I got Emergence of Protection. I feel like I've had this card recently. It says boundaries, self-preservation, trusting in divine protection. Yeah, I definitely had this card. I feel like I had it like yesterday or the day before. So this is card number 39. And let's see what card number 39 says. So the key concepts of this card is setting boundaries, self-preservation, trusting divine protection despite temporary turmoil. I feel like this is already relating to everything I just said in this episode, but we're going to read it. So the need for protection implies the existence of a threat that must be guarded against. Can you feel, however, that you are not the only one looking out for you? We inherently know that our lives are brief and we will experience highs and lows before we return to spirit. When we call upon higher forces, it makes it safer and easier to move through this world. As you progress on your journey, trust in divine protection. Unnecessary harm will not come to you if you follow the prompts, signs, and nudges along the way. Okay, guys. I just said this. I feel like the universe is validating what I just said to you guys. Like, thank you, universe. And when I receive validation messages or something that I feel like is from the universe, I always say thank you. I'm very appreciative. So I'm going to continue reading. So, shield your energy by setting healthy boundaries, and this way you teach others how to treat you respectfully as well as underscore your own self-respect. On the rare occasion that someone crosses your clear boundaries, you will be able to respond effortlessly and dispassionately because you know yourself so well. You're doing the inner work to know who you are, you know your boundaries, and broadcast them. Now trust that the mission you are on comes with divine direction and divine protection. You can do this. There is nothing to fear today. Guys, this is the universe validating everything I've been talking about on this episode. I'm telling you right now. I've been receiving messages. I'm getting chills. Like, again, those chills come with the messages. Thank you, universe. Thank you for providing us this message. I think I really just have to end the episode there. I really do. And again, I'm going to post another episode shortly after this to kind of continue with this information and everything that's been happening. I have more dreams that I'm going to read, or one dream for the next episode. But thank you guys so much for listening today. Thank you, universe, for providing information and validating everything that I discussed today. I really hope that everyone hears these messages and takes the time to appreciate everything they have in their life and slow down what they're doing and enjoy the process they're going through right now, regardless of the process. Maybe embrace it is a better way of saying it. That is all for today, everyone. If you're not already following me, I am on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. And until next time, sweet dreams, everyone.